The U.S. is back to square one on Venezuela. An unambiguous confession by Vice President Pence.
How much longer? Do you have a timeline?
There's no timeline.
Now, rewind just a little over a month ago, and here's Mike Pence, the same Mike Pence, announcing Venezuela was on Washington's laundry list in Spanish.
Hola, I'm Mike Pence, the Vice President of the United States. The United States supports the courageous decision by Juan Guaido, the President of your National Assembly, to assert that body's constitutional powers, declare Maduro a usurper, and call for the establishment of a transitional government.
That was the moment Washington put itself into regime change gear. Since then, the U.S. heavily invested itself in the crisis. So how did it come to this, a thinly veiled admission of failure? After all, it looked so bright at the start. In mere weeks, Washington projected a no-name mob cheerleader into the international frame. Juan Guaido became the poster boy of the social upheaval as his presidential ambition was quickly backed by America's allies.
Brazil has just issued a note recognizing Juan Guaido as Venezuela's president.
Juan Guaido.
Juan Guaido.
Juan Guaido.
Juan Guaido.
Juan Guaido.
Señor Guaido.
Señor Juan Guaido.
Since then, though, America's plans started to go into a frantic nosedive. Maduro wasn't going anywhere, had and still has the army on his side, and his supporters showed the opposition didn't own the streets of Caracas. Then, a big ruckus with aid. The U.S. tried getting into Venezuela, and which Maduro didn't allow. Concerned Washington was using its old trick to smuggle guns to arm the mob, which clearly showed just who's still boss in Venezuela. The scandal and the brawling on the border eventually did absolutely nothing to move America's regime change train forward. Everything the U.S. brings to the border piles up there. Guaido is a poster president with no real power in the country. He himself is shuttling to and from Venezuela with little effect. Washington seems to have resisted the temptation to go for the ever-favorite tactic of sending a few thousand soldiers to escort the undesirable leader out of office, well, at least for now. And when confronted with a "what's next?" question, resorts to the same boilerplate platitude over and over again.
All options are on the table.
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 Which, all things considered, sounds more like no options are on the table. And actually, things didn't go much further than hola in the first place.
Guaido has been unable to deliver on his promise to allow humanitarian aid in. The military has not left the side of President Maduro. They continue to support him. And Guaido is looking like a shrinking power, not an expanding one. So this coup seems to have failed. Unfortunately, that means the United States will try other attempts. They're not going to give up. As the U.S. talks about escalating toward militarism, Colombia is saying no, Brazil is saying no, European governments are saying no. People do not want to see that kind of escalation. Its coalition is fraying, Guaido is failing, and so the United States is really in a small box that's shrinking.
Washington says it won't use force to deliver humanitarian aid to Venezuela. That said, another batch of U.S. aid has arrived at the Colombian-Venezuelan border in defiance of an official ban. Self-declared leader Juan Guaido has promised to get the supplies into the country, but President Maduro is refusing to allow U.S. aid in, calling it a Trojan horse and a pretext for intervention. He is, though, accepting help from the Red Cross and the UN. We asked Walter Cott from the Red Cross about the agency's work in Venezuela.
The situation in Venezuela is, of course, a big demand of support in health, in foods, and in security for the population. And we are working on that in the last more than 3 years, together with any different entities in country and with the communities in country. We are playing our neutral, impartial, and independent role in country. I think the more challenging matter by now is, of course, the lack of resources that we have and the need to have more comprehension about the independent, neutral, and impartial role of entities like us, Red Cross. We are there to serve the human beings, regardless any kind of agenda, ideological or political or religious. We are there playing our role in the way that is necessary to be played, serving the people that is suffering, and we need to expand and increase our power of service in country by working with other actors that are focused on health, livelihoods, nutrition, and really saving people lives and improving the security of people.